some questions. A guy asked me about the first feedback of the Fanatec. So let's go about that. Controls. I have a DD2. Now I have gain 100 because I have to check all cars during the development for clipping. Okay, so ignore that. For a direct drive like the Fanatec, I would suggest that you go down to something like 40, 30 to 40, 30 to 40 in gain. Minimum force completely at 0, damping at 100, rod effect 0, and of course frequency 333. Now on the steering wheel, I would suggest that you go the force feedback as high as you like, so something like 60, 50, 60, depends on how hard you want it, and force effect similar, how strong you want the feedback. The spring effect is at 100. The damper effect is at 100. The natural damper on the direct drive, I keep it at 50. Your mileage might vary. This is for the for the Fanatec direct drive, and the natural friction, it is off. Okay, force feedback intensity 100 and so on. So this is how I keep my my settings. I think they let the steering go as hard as possible. Again, do not look at 100 on for a direct drive. It's not the correct thing to do. Lower it to 30 or 40 and raise the force from the steering wheel. What about the G29s? G29s, you have to use some gain, even 100, because obviously it doesn't have much strength. For all the Logitech wheels, I suggest you go up to 12% minimum force, because there is a dead zone of force feedback in the middle. So 12%, 14%, something like that. And maybe go a little bit down on dynamic damping, something like 50%. I wouldn't go under 30%, honestly. I would stay to 30 to 50%, something like that. Road effects, again, if you want something to happen to your steering wheel, you can raise it a bit, but I wouldn't go much higher than 20%, because otherwise you get too much noise, many things happening on the steering wheel. The steering wheel doesn't have enough force to cope with everything, so you end up with things vibrating, but you don't really feel what is happening. So this is my my suggestion for that. Similar things for the Thrustmaster wheels, a bit lower here, maybe 90%. Road effects, again, don't overdo it. 20% is more than enough. I prefer almost 0. Pick your best number. Yes, if you can run a custom LUT, even better, but I cannot explain this now here. You can find the instructions on the forum. CSW suggestion, almost the same as the direct drive, a little bit more gain because it is less, and very important value for the Fanatec normal, the CSW V12 2.5, 2.5 drift level at -1 or -2. Okay, for CSW 2.0 drift level at 1 or 2, positive 1 or 2. No, I wouldn't change from car to car. I just use the same thing. Right. Again, something very important. Do not get crazy with your force feedback. Okay, so get some default values, put them in, go out, go for a drive. If the driving is good enough, you feel something, it's not like, oh dear, oh my god, I can't feel anything. So if it's good enough, then stick with it. Don't try to find the magic solution. There is no magic. The magic has to happen between what the steering wheel telling you and what your brain understands. Again, it's like I've said this before, I'll say it again. It's like learning a new language, a foreign language. Okay, at first you understand nothing. You keep on practicing, your brain starts to understand, and at some point you understand the language, and you can also start to to talk the new language. the same thing happens with the feedback that you get. You get feedback, your brain doesn't understand it, so you have to keep practice, practice, practice. At some point, your brain starts to understand what the signals from the wheel are, how the signals from the wheel are connected to what your brain sees through your eyes and through the physics. And at some point, it clicks on you and you start feeling the actual physics. But if you keep changing stuff on the first feedback, then you don't give your brain the opportunity to learn the signals. You keep changing things and your brain loses its reference points on the signals. So find a setting that is acceptable, not the best ever, but acceptable. Stick to it for 2 weeks, then we talk again. This is how it works. Okay, this is how it works. Do I have any mode to improve brain software connection? Yes, it is called practice. Yeah, that's all it is.